So I'm here at the Bayard Cutting Arboretum, walking around, trying to find somewhere to paint. And it's a gorgeous day. It's about 80 degrees. I'm very excited to be here. And I want to find somewhere. I want to try to find water. Maybe I can find some water to paint. So we'll see. So I am here inside this tree. It's my favorite tree at this entire arboretum. Look, there is the main part of it. I'll show you here as we scan around. Look at this tree. It's absolutely magical in here. I could just live inside here. Look at the roots, the other branches as they come out of the ground. So this whole big tree is this massive canopy. Let's keep moving. I want to find some water. Hey guys, I just wanted to welcome you back again today to another one of my videos. Thank you so much for watching. I just wanted to say a very special thank you to you guys. You have been liking and subscribing all to my videos. It means so much. I am now over 2 million minutes of watch time, 250,000 views, over 5,000 subscribers. That's incredible. I'm just thrilled out of my mind, and just wanted to say a very special thank you to the YouTubers. I've only really been on YouTube now for a few months, and I already feel like we are like a little family here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for bringing me into your homes and making me a part of your lives, and just really appreciate it. I'm very touched, and so thank you for that. And all of you Facebookers, thank you so much for your outpouring of sincerity, and just, you know, we've known each other now for a few years, and you've gotten to know me and my story, and it's been a joy to get to know you guys too. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of you people who have been so supportive all this time, and this is a special video to me, so just wanted to extend that before we get going on this video. I am here today at the Bayard Cutting Arboretum again, same as last week, but I found a different spot. I really wanted to do some water, so I found this spot here where this tree is just kind of curved, and I love the way the water is reflected, and I thought it'd be fun to catch some of that and a little bit of this tree and the fall colors. So we're gonna have some fun today and just enjoy this. I'm gonna talk while doing the filming, so it won't be a voiceover. So anyway, thanks so much guys. Here we go. So I always begin with the thumbnail sketch, and you can start out with the rectangle and draw your picture inside there, or you can start with the picture and then figure out where your boundaries are from there. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do it both ways and show you how I do that. So I'm thinking about, I love how this chunk of earth comes up this way, and this tree trunk comes up, does this, and kind of wraps around over the top. I've got a shoreline way over there. So I'm thinking about the 1/3, 2/3 division, and here I have the 1/3, 2/3 division that way. So I've got the tree here and the shoreline there. Okay, so I have that. Now I'm going to talk about, I've got this tree as it comes up, angles, and there's a few other trees in here. So I love those lines. I'm going to play with some of those. This is going to be a dark mass in here. This is going to be my darkest area too as it comes around, and I've got the water in here but this is going to be the reflections in the water, like this. Everything that's going to be closest to us is going to be darker, stronger contrast and all that. So I'm thinking about my values here as I'm laying out my no tan, Japanese word for my just pattern of light and dark, black and white. So here's my black design this way, and then my almost blackish shoreline across the water and this interesting shape that it creates. And then this is all middle tone in here. Okay, I'm gonna let this be middle tone over here. And then I have a lighter middle tone, sort of, as it comes across this way, fading to white right in here. Okay, so that's one way you can go about a thumbnail sketch. Another way is to begin with the drawing of the central characters, and then you can kind of see where to chop your canvas from there. So I'm starting with the tree since that's my focal point. Again, working out the values as I see them in here. The thing about doing it this way is that it can sort of get out of hand, and then you can start to focus on details a little bit too much when you need to actually be focusing on creating a quick, strong visual statement with big, bold shapes. So just watch out if you do it this way, which I kind of like doing it this way sometimes. Sometimes it's easier to go from the inside and work your way out, but just make sure that it becomes a thumbnail sketch and not a detailed drawing. So I'm thinking about here, if the tree is here, how far over should this be? Maybe I'll bring it into about there. I have an 8x10 piece of linen here today, so I don't want to go with odd proportions. I'm kind of keeping in mind where I'm going with that. Okay, so those are two different ways you can do your thumbnail sketch. Okay, so I'm going to take and keep the sketch right next to me while I'm laying in the groundwork on here. And I don't use the pencil, the charcoal, to draw in the drawing on my canvas. I'm just going to use, I have my Gamsol right here in my little bucket. I have linseed oil over here. I'm not going to use the linseed for drawing in the image, just the Gamsol for that, but this is what I have with me today. So then I have the titanium white, cadmium yellow pale, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, Alizarin Crimson, and Pthalo Green. Okay, so getting going here. And I'll move my linseed oil down. Put this guy right here. All right, so I'm all set. I've got my paper towels down below here. Extra cautious. So I'm all set. I'm gonna tone this canvas up just a little bit with a thin mixture of, let's do burnt sienna and yellow ochre. Just to kind of already get some of that golden glow that I see happening up in here. I did grab a little bit of alizarin in that too, just to kind of help with that autumn glow that I see in there. So like I said, this is an 8x10 piece of linen. I just taped it to a masonite today. I can go home and just glue it to masonite to give it a little bit more substantial form. So just keeping this really thin, using a little bit of my solvent to bring that down. All right, now I'm going to take my paper towel and just wipe some of that off. So I put it on a little bit darker than I needed because when I wipe it off, and it's important to wipe it off, otherwise you get a really slick layer on there and you don't want that either. So I'm wiping some of that off, giving it a little bit of texture because it makes it interesting. All right, now we are ready to begin. So I have, let's get rid of that the bigger brush, just a size 4 flat. Grabbing my burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and with this I'm going to draw in my composition. I'm going to use the one that I started with here because I feel that it broke it down nice and simple. So we are going to get into water today and some of these beautiful colors and reflections that I see down here in the little pool. And I also thought, you know, since we have this stunning backlight and the way that this tree is just creating this umbrella of autumn glow, that we would play with some of that too. So there's my horizon. And I've got this chunk of tree root stuff, dirt and stuff coming up this way. I'm going to have the reflections in here. Look at this. I'm squinting down at that shape over there just to see the big bold shapes that I have to work with. So this will all be water, and I'll watch the movement of color as it comes across this way. And I'm thinking about bringing the eye in and allowing it to play up in here with the tree and keeping the viewer in this area. So I'm thinking about that as my composition. Oh, I'm so happy to be here today. This is absolutely divine. The weather, it's about 80 degrees, 75 down here by the water. You couldn't ask for it to be more peaceful. So I'm securing these stronger, darker values. I don't want to go black, black, black because this whole scene is just very light and breezy and refreshing. There's colors and all these different things going on down here that I don't want to get it too heavy at the beginning, otherwise it'll kind of get lost. So this tree is going to come up this way. There's this fantastic root coming out of the ground like this. Let's see if I can erase it into existence. Does that make sense? Let's erase it into existence. So it comes around like this. It's got this elbow. You know, I have this where I need it, so I'm done with my thumbnail sketch. So I'm going to put that down below. The wind is threatening to take it, so I'll take that away. Okay, so there's that, and then it comes up. You know, it bends further down here. So it's really easy just to wipe out any mistakes you make. Let's get this, that. And then it shoots off the canvas that way. So that's how that root comes out. So this guy lives right in there. I gotta pull a Bob Ross on you. This just feels like the happiest little tree. It's just basking in this glory of crimson and amber. It's just lovely. Lovely. Okay, so then, let's get rid of that. All right, so I have these trees behind this guy coming down here. Let's give him some predominance there. This one goes back that way. This one has this beautiful arch. Sometimes just letting the brush, holding it very loosely and just letting it fall has a very nice natural feel to it. Like that. Allowing that freedom to get in there and just relax and let it do its thing. I'm going to erase right in here. I know you've seen in some of my videos, I take some paper towel, roll it up, and erase just some highlights. I just want to start seeing that sculpture there. I think that looks neat. It's early for it, but you know what? We're having fun today, so there we go. there. All right, so that kind of feels like a tree root starting there, or tree, and as it comes up like that. Okay, so the rest of this is gonna canopy over this way. Look at that graceful balance. And we'll let some of those do their thing back here. I think I'm gonna squeeze in this little one over, way over here. All right. So that feels good. That feels about right. Okay, and then the water, as it comes down and around here, gonna have the different reflections. All right, let's get some of this background in here. I'm taking some yellow ochre, some ultramarine blue. Thinking about the interesting shape of that shoreline over there too, and as it comes around and plays in the shadows over there across the water. Pretty it is. So laying down stronger value, but not as strong as this is what's going to be, as this is going to be up front here. Oh, I'm seeing some light hitting the shore just way over there, so that's going to be fun to get in. So working on this shape, I'm squinting across the water and I'm seeing this shadow shape over there as it goes around up into the woods. If I lose some of these lines, it's okay. I have it in my head, so I'll bring it back. Listen to that wind. I'm going to grab some linseed oil now. It's my little container there. I've got a little bit in there. I never use very much. When using linseed, just dip the tiniest bit of your brush in there. All you need to do is just kind of give it a little bit of moisture, that's all. So I'm holding this down so it doesn't wiggle too much. Someone had a comment, and I love your guys' comments. And thank you for leaving them. I get so many wonderful compliments and suggestions and ideas. Somebody had suggested that I get a stabilizer. I think the wind had been blowing my camera, but either way, it was a great suggestion. I will have to do that. So in the meantime, I'm going to hold it down so you don't get motion sickness. I also don't want to hide this undercoat as I'm doing this background back in here because I want to let some of that shine through. Okay, so grabbing some white, yellow ochre, and I always just take a little piece of this and a little piece of that and a little ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to paint those colors together like this. As I look across the water, I see this really soft atmospheric green. So I'm just going to mix up different puddles and different shades of green as I see it. So you can see I've taken some more blue and yellow for this one. So I have this a little bit darker value here that I'm just laying down for some of these darker passages in here. I've mixed up a few different shades of green, like I was mentioning, and I'm just kind of laying them down where I see them in the different passages across the water. And I don't want this background to become too heavy, so I'm trying to keep it light and atmospheric, and also still not losing some of the underpainting of that. So pieces of paint, little pieces of paint as I work sort of impressionistically, laying down where I see them inside all these branches up here. And I'm thinking about these shapes here, like that, of the leaves as I see them over here. You can see them off to the corner. And I want this over here a little bit smoky or hazy or bluish, because that is just kind of fading off over there into, you know, atmosphere, and it's further away. And I also took, when I look across the water, I see sort of that ochre and ultramarine blue mixture. For the shadows on the water surface. And I'm just laying down little horizontal strokes like this, because when I look over there, I see the shapes of the trees reflected as shadows in the water. So I'm just going to get some of that in real quick. So it goes across like that. Water is one of my most favorite things to paint. I see all these beautiful ochres and umber color tones, greens, and then of course the reflections in there. So I'm going to grab some cadmium yellow and mix it in with some of this blue-green mixture that I have here. A little bit of linseed oil, white, trying to match the color that I see outside the shadows. Let's grab a little bit more of that white and yellow, creating more of a contrast where the shadow meets the highlighted part of the water. Little yellow ochre into that. There we go. Nice strong pieces of color. Laying it down, leave it alone. Okay? Especially with painting water, you don't want to get all fussy because it would lose that look of being clean and fresh. So looking across there, I'm squinting down, I see more ochre in the water over there, and as it comes closer to me I see a sagey or springy green. So I'm putting this in the middle of where the branches of the shadow create gaps. That. See it over there, I see it a little bit more ochre and sienna. So I'm going to put that, trying to keep my brush strokes horizontal. So about like, when I squint down over there, I see it about like that. Maybe I'll add a little bit more sienna. Yeah, that's better. Just creates that nice color movement as it comes across this way. I'll have that sienna, and then it moves over to this bluer sage. It's so pretty. When you squint down at water, you can see those different colors then. So I added a little bit more white and cadmium yellow to this mixture. It's just almost like a really nice sage green. See, I have the colors here already, some of this blue-green on the palette, so I'm mixing some of this cad yellow and white into that to create this beautiful, almost like a dusty celery color. Clean, simple. I'll go into that and I can add variations, little rocks and things under the water, but because this is on the side of the canvas, I want it quieter over there in between these trees. Grabbing some linseed. Oh, got too much. If you get too much, just scrape it on the side. Okay, coming over here. Now as the water moves this way closer to me, hold on, grabbing a little bit of sienna for that over there too. I love the way it sort of frames in with the sienna ochre mixture. And you can see every now and then I twirl my brush just because it gets loaded, but I don't want to lose that color by wiping it off on my napkin or paper towel, so I just swirl it and then I scoop it. See, I love that color. So when I squint down there, that's pretty much what I see. Might have noticed too in my videos, I'm always wearing a hat doing plein air. That's because it keeps the sun out of my eyes from glare. So it just makes it easier that way. Okay, now I'm gonna actually really wash this off because I'm shifting gears as my mixture comes towards me. I'm gonna go with a cleaner white, yellow ochre, excuse me, cadmium yellow. But I am putting it in my mixture here just because I want to paint those colors together with what I have going on underneath in that water over there. Let's grab a little bit of ochre. What the heck? Okay, so you can see that's getting to be a little bit more sage. Let's get some oil in there. I use the oil to help kind of liquefy the paint just a little bit because it starts to get kind of stiff. Scoop, lots of paint on there. Scoop up some more. Let's mix up a bigger batch. This lighter. Always looking at, you know, even when you're just driving down the road, I was thinking about it on the way here, asking myself, well, what color is that? How would I paint that? Even just as you go about your day and your life, you know, look around when you're driving, sitting in traffic. Maybe not so much when you're driving, but even just sitting in traffic, looking at the beautiful scenery, especially as we, in the northern hemisphere, you're coming into fall. We've got beautiful colors. And you know, ask yourself, how would I handle that mixture, that color? And keep your palette limited so that it's not too difficult to come up with an answer. You know, I like to keep just a few colors on my palette. It makes it easier all the way around. All right, one thing I'm noticing as I'm moving forward is that my shadows back there, I want those to have a little bit more clarity. So I'm going to go back in with some Ultramarine Blue, yellow ochre, just to clean those up and bring them back into the foreground. Thick, juicy pieces of paint. Love that. Like that. Twirl my brush because I don't want to lose that color. Twirl it off, scrape it up. Some more going there. Another yellow ochre, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. Okay, so I'm noticing that I want this shadow of these trees to do more this way and to come over this way a little bit. So that feels better. All right, now I'm gonna work, I stopped doing this greenish tone in here because I'm gonna start getting in some of the highlights of the sky. I see the sky and the water reflected down here. You can see it down here in the corner. So let's grab some clean, pure white, a little bit of blue. Let's grab a little burnt sienna to neutralize that blue and make it a little less intense. So I paint those colors together just like that. A little bit of linseed oil. Where do I see that? Grab more. Depending on how you lay your brush strokes down, you should be able to lay strong color on top of strong color. Don't push, don't scrub, just little pieces. 1 or 2 brush strokes per application is all you need. But see, if I were to go in here and try to scrub like this, it's going to get muddy. And so you want to just lay down clean pieces of paint. You can see this is why I put big piles out, because you want to be able to scoop and get large chunks. Obviously this is a stylistic way that I paint. This is my style. But even still, time is of the essence when you're out here painting, so you don't want to be dilly-dallying around squeezing more paint out if you need more. You want to just be able to just go. Looking at this as it comes down. I know that there's other things going on down here in the water, but for now I'm just going to lay down this clean, beautiful passage of paint in here. Let's get some more of that white. We'll just take that white. Well, it's starting to feel like water. Let's get some more oil in there. I need more. Paint those colors together. Twirl the brush as it gets loaded. If you just drag your brush over, sometimes it breaks, the paint breaks and it scumbles, and you get that interesting look of different things underneath it going on. So I'm going to put some of it over here, and then I'll paint the dark patches around it. Okay, so I'm seeing some of these sparkly things happening. Keeping my strokes horizontal. Now back way over on that shoreline, way over there, I see some highlights as the sun is peeking through these, and I'd like them to help play with the direction as we're going through here. So I'm going to put some of those down in here. Let's clean that. Just a little bit to show the shoreline. Okay. Oh, we got some sparkles. So I'm going to take that. Just do a few little, oops, too much. Clean that up. Okay. Going to take and grab some white in here, since this is a focal point area. There. Okay, moving on. I don't want to get carried away on the details when there's still so much left to do. So I'm going to work on this passage in here now, and I'll come back to this. As I work on this part, this will get finished too. Okay, so getting into here, cleaning my brush off really well. I don't want white because I'm going to be mixing up darks now. Okay, grabbing my darks, gonna jump in, not real darks because this is as dark as I am gonna be going on this. Let's get this tree trunk in here the way I see it. A little more burnt sienna with that gray. twirling my brush, I'm going to do sort of a stronger highlighted side here, grabbing a little bit more white, especially as we move down the trunk of the tree. I see a lot more of a warmer gray. So I'm just taking the burnt sienna right into my sky water mixture there and letting that play that way. Strong, angular brush strokes, twirl, refine, scoop. I twirled my brush around there to try to get some of that illusion of that elbow coming out that way. And then as it comes around down here in the water, it's a darker tone. Okay, there we go. That's fun. I'm gonna grab some of this water sparkly color. Pop it in back there, just so it shows that the tree branch is growing out like that. Grabbing a really dark color, blue and brown. Gonna pop that in right there. Okay. Let those two colors do their thing together. All right, so now I've got some grassy foliage stuff in here. Let's let that, we'll give it a foundation of dark, and then I'll add lighter colors over the top of that. Just a little bit, just to give us somewhere for that stuff to sit. How cool is that? I love that tree trunk over here. I wonder if you can't really see it in the video. There you can kind of see it back there, the little elbow as it comes out. Okay, so get some of this in here as it comes down, grabbing some ochre right here into the water. Ochre, sienna together. A little ultramarine blue gives you beautiful color for shoreline water. Right in there. Clean. Go in. Twirl clean. Well, my lighting has changed, so I'm going to try to work quickly here. Grabbing some more of this color for inside the water. Yellow ochre, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. Those three colors, you can make the most fantastic paintings. Just working out how you can use those in different ratios. Beautiful together. I go back to my palette because I'm picking up some of the white from the reflections, and I knew that would happen, but I want to make sure that my brush stays unadulterated. Just, you know, going back, clean it up as often as possible, often as necessary. I have this tree trunk coming that way. Make sure we get that in there. And then, of course, bearing in mind too that everything closer to us is going to be warmer. So the water down here, we see a lot more ochre and sienna in it. So I want to make sure that I don't mix it up too much with the sky, because then it'll take on a really cool tone. All right, now I'm losing the light around the trees, so I want to definitely get that going. So let's get some of these tree trunks drawn in place. I'm starting with the darker tone, the shadowed side of these tree trunks. Draw them in. You can chisel your brush a little bit by getting that extra paint off. To these tree trunks, this is the shadowed side first. This one is kind of a bigger guy. He comes in like this. I press down on the brush to make it a little bit wider. Twirl the brush, come up here. Okay, now we're going to hit those with a little bit of other lighting color. I'm just going to take and kind of blend some of this green in a little bit where I think it should kind of get lost. Okay, so a little bit of highlight on these tree trunks and then we're good to go with that part. Let's hit those a little stronger. There. Let's make this one come in front. Put that one back behind it. There, that's reading like, you know, they're back there. And all right, I'm going to put in some of that green foliage and things down here just to really separate that. Grabbing some cadmium yellow, a little bit of phthalo green. Let's get some more of that cad. And get a nice, beautiful, brilliant green. Let's tone it down just a little with some yellow ochre. A little bit. I want that much thicker. Mix it up with some sienna. Ochre. Just throw in a few flowers just for good measure. Alright, that's good enough. I'm just going to take my brush while I'm down here and just hit some of these a little bit stronger. Just as the sun might. Okay. There. Okay, so now I'm going to get into some of the branches that create this canopy here, and I'm going to do those nice and dark. I'm going to pull some of these, I'm going to put them in now, but then I will be pulling those back out if they get lost. Some of them are going to get lost, but I have to have some of them in before I paint all that beautiful foliage. And we're getting overcast. Like that. I'm going to clean my brush off really well and squint down at those colors in the tree. Oh, I'm getting some sun too, so great. Now I can try to capture that color a little bit more accurately as I see it. Let me turn this up just a little bit. Here. Okay, I'm grabbing some cadmium yellow. Let's get some alizarin crimson going. Can you? Nope, no one can. Can't see that really that well. That's better. Paint those colors together. Let's start out with something intense like that. Let's see what happens. I'm going to jump around like I normally do because I don't see this color everywhere. So I want to reserve my strong, intense parts for a few spots, not the whole thing. Alizarin Crimson, cadmium yellow. Looks like I got some green in there, but that's okay. Let's make that a little bit redder this time. When you paint something right around a tree branch, you want to kind of put it on both sides a little bit, just so that it has more of a sense of belonging in that place. Just into that pile, add a little bit more yellows. Always going back and getting more. Here. That's getting loaded. Let's pick up some of that. Just laying down varying shades of fall colors as I see them over there. I'll be adding some spring green to the mix here pretty soon. Just creating sort of a foundation of fall colors. It's a little bit more neutral toned, into which I'll add the really vibrant jewel tones. Cleaning up some of these brush strokes. Now I'm going to grab some Alizarin Crimson, cadmium yellow, and just painting those, yep, you can still see that. Painting those two colors together. These are going to be really vibrant notes where the sun is just doing its thing. And you got to be careful because sometimes, you know, especially when we're doing fall colors, we can go kind of crazy because they're so pretty. So I'll just select. Let's get some more. They're like little pieces of stained glass as the sun is just dancing through these. Also trying to capture the feeling of movement in the leaves, in the way that they're just blowing in the wind, and just enjoying life. Take and do something kind of fun. Let's put one down here in the water. Just floating down there. Just a few. I mean, it is fall, so. Alright, cleaning my brush off. I'm going to do some brilliant spring green leaves now. Grabbing some cadmium yellow. A little bit of phthalo green. Here we go. Bearing in mind where my focal point is, I don't want to do it all over the edge, so I just kind of want to, just where it's going to matter. Okay. See, by that vibrant feeling in there, it really helps to set off the quiet neutral background back there. Alright, now I'm going to put these branches back in just a little bit darker. Just letting it, holding the brush very loosely. Get a nice chiseled edge on there. Twirling. Alright, putting in a little bit of highlight, just a little, on these branches as the light is coming in here and hitting the tops. I'm going to grab one more brush. Two things. I'm going to grab my little liner here and just put in a few of these squiggly branches as I see them. Some of them are grayish, light gray, so I'm going to grab that. Get an inky mixture, roll it into the paint, and you roll it to a point like that. Just kind of twirl it as you paint it. Alright, and then you can take your palette knife and just scratch in a few, like where the light is hitting some of these branches, and just a few more. Just getting a clean, dry brush. I'm going to put in some of the rocks and things that I see down here in the water, just a little bit, just to suggest some. And that's usually just indicated by a little darker value, like that. You can just do it like a highlight on the rock to show. It's under the water. Like that. Alright, then I'm going to go back, and once I paint the undersurface of the water, I always go back and I put some reflections over the top of those things. Alright, well, I wanted to thank you so much for joining me. This has been a very relaxing video, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And I appreciate all of your likes, comments, your supports, your subscriptions. Thank you so much. It just means the world to me. You guys are awesome. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.